guys have really found like a great store that invests in a career path. And it's not like you came in and you got a role and you stopped there. It's really been cool to see that you guys have like grown through that. Jack Pearson, your center manager or GM, has done a great job of like leading you guys down that path too. So Dylan, like, let's talk about that for a second. You started in detail as a porter. You did some like cleanup stuff. You moved some cars. And now what do you do and why do you do it?
So basically, when I started out, it was simply cleaning cars, making sure that they look good for delivery. If a car came in for service, it would get cleaned up after, or, if a loaner needed to be dropped off, I was the one to do it.
Yeah.
Starting off that, I knew I always wanted to have a career here.
Yeah.
And so working up, I got more and more experience, and I started talking to Jack more. And one day I just approached him and I said, listen, we need social media content. We need to advertise the South Shore experience. And we used to have a social media curator, but it's been a while since. So the pages weren't looking good. And I saw that and I said, someone needs to take care of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of made my own job position, but I talked to him and I just said, listen, man, like, and Jack's a great understanding guy. He's very forward thinker. He likes progress. So I set out a plan for him. I said, listen, I want to do this. Can you just give me a shot? And, out of all the people in my life I've met, Jack has been one of the most to believe in me. He gave me that chance. He gave me that shot. And I mean, every day I get to film luxury cars for a living, and I get to meet some of the coolest people. And, I never thought that I would be able to make videos and get paid to do it growing up.
That's right.
Because you hear that, it's like, that's stupid. Go get a real job. And it's like, but I get to do it, and I get to work with some of the greatest people. And I mean, I'm always learning new stuff every day.
Yeah.
But the growth you see here and the environment, I mean, it's just, you meet some of the best people, and these are people that I even consider like family. These are people that I talk to even outside of work. It's been great, and the growth has been exponential. And I'm always, and I think back from going from cleaning cars to getting to film luxury cars and getting paid for it. And, I post on TikTok, YouTube.
That's like every kid's dream, right?
Yeah, it is. And, I've had a couple videos do a couple million views.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's mind blowing knowing that my work is getting out there to people, and I get to do this every day, and I get support for it. And I mean, when I first started 2.5 years ago, I knew what I wanted to do, and I said, okay, I'm ready to put in the work. And I mean, the results have shown the growth has been excellent. So yeah.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. And Manny, you've had like a similar path where you've come in, you've started as a porter, started in detail. You spent some time in BDC, you went to a sales assistant, now you're a sales executive out on the floor, like actually working with customers all day. What does that like path look like, and how did you know what that next step was, and how cool was it to work with Jack through that process?
Yeah, so pretty much on the very beginning, I essentially didn't know what I wanted to do. Like my parents are very traditional. So their goal for me was college comes first.
Sure.
Before work. I mean, I can understand that. But to me, it's just like, well, college is good and all, but like I didn't know what to do. So before this, I was actually wanted to do pre-med. But over time, I just kind of didn't feel like it was a right fit. And, me being able to work here, because growing up, my dad worked with the automotive field. So growing up, pretty much I had experience with whatever he like pretty much talked about.
Yeah.
So at such a young age, I already pretty much kind of had like a dream to kind of work at the same field as my dad, which I thought was pretty cool. So I guess my first step was, as soon as I turned 18, got my, when I already had my driver's license, I knew I wanted to work somewhere, like somewhere automotive field. It doesn't matter which one it is. And luckily for me, I live 5 minutes that way. So I was like, this is the right one. And back then, I never knew anything about Jaguars, Land Rovers. And it's crazy because when this place was being built, like I was still in high school.
Yeah, true.
So every single day I would see this building, like the process of it getting built. It's just like, and thinking now, I can't believe I'm like working here.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was a porter, pretty much did it for a few months. I would say 6-7 months. After that, I was pretty much, I guess I was pretty much bored. I wanted to do something else. I like the idea of growth.
Yeah.
So when Jim Otterly's assistant told me that, you know, he was planning on moving on soon to, you know, for his new career path, I wanted to jump in that. So essentially, I asked him what's his role was, what did he do for this company, and just kind of over time, just kind of learn from him. And then eventually when he left, I actually went to Jim, the first person that I went to, and I asked him, hey, I'm looking to do something else. I don't want to be back there washing cars forever.
Yeah.
It's a cool job, but like I needed to do something new. So he took me under his wing. So did that essentially for the whole 2 years. But during that, in the middle of that time period as well, like I said before, I like the idea of growth. I wanted to do something else. So I actually became the product specialist, essentially what Dylan is doing now. So essentially going over all the technology in the vehicle, getting them set up, answer any questions that they have, just to make sure that the delivery process is a smooth transition and they're pretty much comfortable in, operating their vehicle and stuff. And at that time, I never really thought about doing anything else. I was actually really scared to go to the sales position because I didn't know what to do. Like, do I want to pursue, the automotive field, or do I still want to stay on the pre-med path? But over time, it's just like when I kind of was thinking about it for a long time, is like, I don't think I was going to become very passionate about, like pre-med and all that. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm working here. I love cars. I like the people that works here. They treat me like family.
Yeah.
They take care of me really,
There's
really
good
well.
leaders, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're great teachers as well. Like, I was really lucky to be part of this, this whole team. So eventually, I believe Jim actually asked me that question, and probably a few months back, he's like, hey, I know you're still going to college and stuff, but what do you think about sales, like selling cars? And that's essentially when, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, it's like, I don't know. I never really thought about it that far, but I mean, if a position is available, I mean, I like to move forward with what I'm doing and I want to learn something else. So essentially I took it. So kind of told him that I'll pretty much sit on it for a few months, and then eventually I just made the decision. So essentially I still go to college, so pretty much switched my career path to just, business management and marketing. So, and I wanted to stay full-time at school and then essentially just go part-time so I can kind of gain more experience here while also getting a college degree at the same time, which is pretty good.
So Dylan, one thing that was kind of cool that you mentioned was that you basically created your own position. And I think that there was two sides of it. Like, one, you had a desire to do that. Two, Jack also saw the vision for that. So walk me through, you approached him, you said, hey, we really need to do this. I think I'm good at this. I can do this. I've got a track record of being able to do this before. And then, I mean, you were also able to deliver on that. I mean, there's so many like millions of views you were able to get just on TikTok alone.
Yeah. Well, starting off before I even worked at South Shore, I was in high school and I took a college level class on radio and television production film. So I had always been passionate about videography and making content.
I see.
And funny enough, I was in school. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't into school, and I knew I didn't want to go to college. So I was like, I love cars, I love making videos, and I love talking to people.
Yeah.
Those are my big three things. So
Yeah.
so I'm in heaven basically.
Yeah.
But so when I started washing cars, I knew that wasn't the end goal. I wanted to grow. I wanted to grow. So I had been doing, videos personally for me on, Instagram, YouTube, and mainly TikTok. TikTok is my big thing. That's my bread and butter here.
Yeah.
But I had been doing that for a while now, so I knew how to create content. I knew how to build a little bit of a platform per se. And so I had that confidence kind of, and, I decided to take the risk. I talked to Jack, and Jack basically told me, he said, here's a few cars to film. Let's see what we can do. I kind of showed him a few videos I did on the side. Personally, I showed him a parody commercial I did for Mercedes-Benz in my video class, which was super fun to make. But he saw that, he got a laugh out of that, and he gave me a shot. And I remember the night after we talked about it, I was laying in bed, and the pressure was on. And the thing about me is, when there's pressure, I have to perform.
Sure.
I got to make sure that I don't disappoint. So I think I kind of hyper focused on it, and I was like, this is going to be perfect. This is just, it has to be excellent. There can't be any flaws. So
you're going to blow it out of the water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first few months of me trying it, and I'm showing Jack videos. I'm like, hey, how's this? What else do you want me to do? Super just like on it. And he gave me positive feedback, and it was going super, super well, and I was learning. And Jack is always trying me to do new things, push new ideas. Hey, why don't we try this style of content?
That's right.
Always looking forward. So I was super lucky in the aspect of, I'm working in a place where not only do I get to do what I love, but I have a bunch of like-minded individuals as well who want to push forward. They want to, get those results, and they want to make sure that, we can all grow together, because the main goal here is growing together.
Yeah.
So I remember eventually when I first got access to the TikTok page, I think it had something like 500 followers, some odd amount like that. And in the first few months, I think I had quadrupled the amount of views, and I had like 10x the viewer engagement.
Oh my word.
And I think I also like 10x the following count.
Yeah.
And it has been upwards from there. I mean, and then I remember in March of 2023, we had our first ever viral video. It was when the first new Range Rover Sport came for the new generation. It came, and I did a 40-second video of me opening the doors, pressing the buttons, just like simple stuff. And it had 3.1 million views. And I remember that.
That's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And Jack has always just reminded me of how far I've come.
Yeah.
And he's always pushing me to go farther, though.
Yeah.
Which is,
It's cool when you have a leader like that that's willing to recognize your accomplishments.
Absolutely.
And really point out like, hey, that was great. Let's try and do that again.
Yes.
And the cool part is when they do it without you having to go brag to them.
Yes.
And I can imagine that Jack is like that every single day.
Yeah.
My guess is even with you, Manny, going from, being a porter, moving from detail to BDC, product specialist, and then now onto the sales floor. I can imagine he looks at little things that you do, and he's like, man, look at that. Imagine where you were 2 years ago. I picture him saying that because it's just that clear. He's so intentional about building his people up. I mean, this is perfect example. Both of you, he's built up through multiple positions and found the right spot for the right people. What would you say, if Manny, if you look back at that? So now you're sales executive. What would you say is so important in this process? If you had to give advice to other people who were you 2 years ago, what advice would you give yourself 2 years ago?
If I had to give an advice, I'd say try to find one thing that you always like to do, whatever you're passionate about. Because look at me now. I always used to think that the medical field was going to be good for me.
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was right here, 5 minutes away from my house.
You watched it being built every day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look at me now, I'm like working on it, and I'm driving it too, which isn't that great?
Yeah.
But I'd say like find what your passion is, and once you find it, you just have to work hard for it.
Yeah. What I think is so cool is that you were willing to give up on this dream of like pre-med,
Right.
not to like get something worse, but something better.
Yep.
Like for you, where you're at now, like you probably would have never imagined that you could be doing what you're doing. And I mean, even to the level you're at, you're going to keep growing, not only like this year, but like in 5 years and in 10 years and in 30 years. And I can only imagine where you're going to be in like decades, because you're only going to keep growing, you know?
I know. I wish I can think that far ahead,
Sure.
but right now I'm just trying to do as best I can.
You're like, get me through Monday.
Yeah, I know I'll pull through. I know if I put in, hard work, I know everything will be A-okay. So
Yeah, that's right. Well, Dylan, same thing to you. Like, what advice would you give yourself if you had to talk to yourself like 2 or 3 years ago?
Don't get so caught up on the problems in the present,
Sure.
and just keep thinking about what you want to do. Find something you love, because you can come to work every day. You can make $1 million. If you hate it, that job's gonna do nothing for you. You're not gonna grow as in a career or as an individual. I come here, I don't make $1 million a year, but
Yet.
I make it. Yeah, I make enough to support myself comfortably, but I also have the best environment around me.
Yeah.
I work in cars. I love cars and I love people, and I think people are too focused on just trying to find something. People are always pushing college on, young adults or
For sure.
high school students, and it's like, oh, you got to do this. I didn't go to college. I just started working immediately in the automotive industry because it's what I loved. So I think finding your passion and taking time to really understand what you love is 10 times more important than any dollar amount you can make.
Yeah.
lots of opportunities out here in the automotive field.
Absolutely.
Do anything.
Absolutely. The number one thing about the automotive field is you could be any skin color, any sexual orientation, any gender, from any place at any time. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter who you are. You can grow. There's always room for anyone here.
Man, what like a perfect way to end that, right? Yeah. Dylan, Manny, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your knowledge and kind of your history and your journey through this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.